Hey, welcome to the channel. I am musically malnourished, and you're on my journey to go deep and wide in discovering new music and artists. We are in the 2013 album from 21 Pilots called Vessel. This has been really special. This is track number 4, House of Gold. So let's listen to it together, and we'll dive in a little deeper on the other side.
She asked me, son, when I grow old, will you buy me a house of gold? And when your father turns to stone, will you take care of me? She asked me, son, when I grow old.
I'm thinking, and obviously they could go whatever direction with this song. There's probably a simpler acoustic type nature to this song. I know he sounds like he's playing on the ukulele, but I don't know if this resonates with you. When I think about songs that sound like this, adventure always comes to mind. I always think of like hills and landscapes and summer days, and this just kind of very like hopeful. I don't know. That's not a good. Nathan Evans. Hold on, let me confirm that. Is a yes, Scottish singer and songwriter Nathan Evans. This is him right here. Sings a lot of songs that remind me of that kind of sound and feeling. Should check him out if you haven't. Some fun stuff. Wellerman is like a sea shanty, but Heather on the Hill, really beautiful song. Anyways, that's not who we're here for. So let's jump back in. But I'll be curious if they keep it on this vein and this idea. And let me know if that resonates with you as well. That idea of like landscape, summer. That's what I think of when I hear this song.
Will you buy me a house of gold? And when your father turns to stone, will you take care of me? I will make you queen of everything you see. I'll put you on the map. I'll cure you of disease. Let's say we up and left this town and turned our future upside down. We'll make pretend that you and me lived ever after happily. She asked me, son, when I grow old, will you buy me a house of gold? And when your father turns to stone, will you take care of me? I will make you queen of everything you see. I'll put you on the map. I'll cure you of disease. Oh, and since we know that dreams are dead and life turns plans up on their head, I will plan to be a bum, so I just might become someone. She asked me, son, when I grow old, will you buy me a house of gold? And when your father turns to stone, will you take care of me? I will make you queen of everything you see. I'll put you on the map. I'll cure you of disease.
Oh man, of course, within an album, there are these ebbs and flows. This is, I think, almost the shortest track on the album. It's actually the final track on the album is the shortest at 2 minutes and 22 seconds. And so always down with changes of pace and stuff. I will say of 21 Pilots stuff, like the thing I love about them is just the inclusion of all these different, the rap, the electronic beats, the punk type, the rock, I mean, all the different things. I don't even know how to explain it the best, but I do love obviously the breaks in different things. And so I'm curious to see with this, because it's just got a nice little vibe to it. What specifically speaking to, because at first I was thinking like, because it seems honest, obviously, when they're talking about son, when I grow old, that he's speaking of maybe his mother. And even again, songs don't have to be 100% personal. You can tell a story about someone else that didn't happen to you, and you phrase it from first person. So this idea of son, when I grow old, here, we'll hop over and just take a look at the lyrics for a second. I'll read the about in a second, but what was standing out to me, son, when I grow old, will you buy me a house of gold? So it sounded to me this idea of like taking care of your mother. When your father turns to stone, will you take care of me? Which could either mean death or being despondent emotionally. But then this also makes me think of this kind of like a folk tale, because what is it? Not ogres, trolls turning to stone type deal. And then, but I'm saying, I'll make you queen of everything you see, put you on the map, and cure you of disease. That's where I was getting into like, well, I don't fully follow what he's saying. And then talking about getting up and leaving this town, turning our future upside down. So with that being said, let me see what this says about it. Okay, we got a lot of stuff here. House of Gold is a conversation between Tyler and his mother. She wonders if he will still care for her as she ages and is no longer able to care for him, which is portrayed in a rather grandiose fashion. She asks him to get her a house of gold. Does she ask him or does he offer? Okay, will you buy me a house of gold? The song goes on to describe Tyler pursuing his own dreams, but he realizes they are not everything he thought they would be. Furthermore, because of life's twists and turns, his plan for his dreams may not even come to fruition or give him what he was looking for in the first place. It's quite likely this information was instilled in him by his mother, which could be why this track is dedicated to her. The happy melody found in House of Gold contrasts vastly with the meaning of the song and music video. Sweet, we get a music video. Man, I've said this with every video because there's some sort of interview or music video we've encountered, so we've got a lot of wonderful content for Patreon. Tyler spoke about it in a 2013 interview with 105.7. I don't know if I've saved that interview yet.
And
I haven't. Let me save that one. We all have those people in our lives where we would say, I would die for them, and it's actually pretty easy to say that you would die for somebody. The tough thing is living for them every day, Oh, that's really interesting. The idea of saying like you die for somebody is melodramatic in a sense, because, and I've seen this, from marriages that didn't last, and trying to counsel with people, that a husband could say, I love you, but can't fold laundry. Can say, I love you, but can't just show up in the normal day-to-day operations of what it means to be a team in a marriage. And so it's like, you make these big grandiose statements like, I'd give everything for you. And it's like, but I'm not even asking for everything. I'm just asking for the simple things. And that sometimes is like where the rubber meets the road. So it's easy to say, oh, of course, no, I'll do anything. And it's like, no, but you aren't doing anything. And so that's really an interesting insight that he makes there. The tough thing is living for them every day. Not to go on a preachy thing here, but like when I Think of being a brother to 3 younger siblings and a son to parents. It's hard to live for those people every day. It's easy to be like, yeah, I'd take a bullet for my sister. So then playing with just living in between that limbo of living and dying for somebody in this video, you can kind of see us severed in half and barely staying alive and singing a song, particularly to my mom. Says it's the first song I ever played on the ukulele. It was the first song I ever wrote on the ukulele. I just bought that instrument and started strumming the first thing that sounded cool to me. At the time, I was obviously thinking about my mother. It's really nice to say I wrote a song for my mom. If you listen to the lyrics, it's not the happiest song. It's not the most joyful of messages, but I like that song because it's unlike anything else I've ever done or will ever do. I'm not going to write another song like that ever, and I hope people are okay with that. Interesting. House of Gold is about my mother. It means a lot to me. For me to reveal exactly what the song's about would be a little too vulnerable. Wow. But I love my mom very much, and I want to always be there for her like she was for me, and this song is about that. This gives me a little insight that in a moment when we go look at the lyrics, I'm going to propose something, and I definitely don't want to state it as fact because I do not know. But with him saying that and what was coming to me as he was singing, I'm going to share what I think it means. Let me first click and save this music video. Okay. And it will be the first thing that I talk about because it's at the very beginning. She asked me, son, when I grow old, will you buy me a house of gold? This, to me, kind of speaks to... I've always thought it's a strange dynamic, right? To have a child who's very successful. Let's say you're an average... Well, you could go either way. You could say you're an average median income home or a low income home. Either way, if you have a child that is incredibly successful, like Tyler, or let's say you have a child that plays professional sports or, is CEO of a large business, begins to essentially just make more money than you could ever have dreamed of making, I would imagine there could be this challenge if you're not a very healthy person. Even if you're the healthiest of people, it could be a challenge, this feeling of like, well, they could really make my life easier. Like, I wonder, will they buy me a house? Will they buy me a car? Will they pay off my debt? And I think that I've seen that go both ways. I feel like from the outside looking in, I've seen some children or some parents with their successful children, like their lives begin to fall apart because it's almost like winning the lottery. Some people that win the lottery, their lives fall apart because it's the same person just with a lot of money now, and it tends to ruin people. What do they say? That money really just amplifies the person that you already are. So if you think, oh, when I get a lot of money, then I'll be generous. Man, it's a wild way of thinking. Because if you're not generous now with a small amount, I think your selfishness will only be amplified, and that will ruin you. And so I'm curious, and this is why I want to be very sensitive with this, because I do not want to speak something that's not here or of his mother, but I wonder if there was a struggle of this, like, whether she vocalized this to him or implied it, this idea of like, are you going to share with me? And not even in just the normal expectation that, of course, like, we would all want to think if we have the ability, we're going to take care of our parents, or, there's feels some amount of responsibility there, even if you don't have the greatest relationship with your parents. And I'm not talking about really broken relationships and things like that. but almost this kind of like over and above that of thinking that you should lavish stuff upon them. And I feel like that always be a challenging tension with parents and their kids that are very successful. Let's see. Let's just for fun, let's see what this annotation says. His mom is basically asking, how far will you go for me? To which Joseph, I'll do anything for you. However, a house of gold is generally seen as a bad thing. It's a representation of corrupted material. Okay. And when your father turned, oh, that could be, I wonder. In a nice incident of play on words, Joseph's mother is asking him to take care of her when his father turns to stone, stone being the kind of cold someone feels when they're dead, but also it marks their grave. Joseph goes on to say not only will he care for her, but he will ensure her the best of health by curing her disease. Some speculate the turning to stone is referencing a time when his father reaches a certain age. He no longer emotionally cares for Joseph's mother, making it an internal kind of stone cold, at least Tyler, to care for his mom. So obviously the annotations here are speculating multiple things, and I had already kind of shared those things. But I didn't think about the idea of possibly a gravestone. That's an interesting thought, you know. I will make you queen of everything you see. I'll put you on the map. I'll cure you of disease. It almost sounds like tongue in cheek. The idea that, because Tyler knows that possessions and riches won't accomplish that. He would make her feel like royalty, elate her to a position of reputation, make sure she stays healthy by caring for her. Well, and I think cure you of disease, that could be physically, but maybe this idea of like everything that you feel is wrong with you on the inside. And again, the whole tongue-in-cheek thing is like, yeah, but the riches won't actually accomplish that. Okay, let's keep making our way down here. Let's say we up and left this town and turned our future upside down. We'll make pretend that you and me lived ever after happily. See, that's what I feel like he's trying to communicate, this idea that all these riches aren't actually going to do that. Like we could. He probably has the money, the ability. Now, again, I don't know, maybe in the time of writing this song, not so much because they were, you know, on the rise in this, but probably at the time felt like it was more money than he had ever seen. So this idea of like, yeah, if we just left this town, like totally turned our lives upside down, then we'll make pretend that you and me lived ever after happily. Like nobody will know the difference if we're gone. They can think like we could tell them we lived happily ever after, and they won't really know. Yeah, see, Tyler set dreams of prosperity for himself, but he slowly realized he has no control over his future. He has left town with his mother in hopes of creating a new life, but quickly learn he'll have to make the best of what he's given. That can't happen for long or at all. He can just pretend it will. Regardless, plans and dreams don't always come true. He has prepared to adapt. Right. Because even with all the money, like the struggles that he feels are still there, you know. It's not like money's just going to cure it all. And since we know that dreams are dead and life turns plans up on their head, I will plan to be a bum so I just might become someone. I think that line right there really seals the deal. That is irony the best word? That the song's just laced in irony? Because the reality is like, I'll just plan to be a bum. Like I'll lower my expectations, or even, you know, it could be the idea of still living humbly. Not that, man, if you're successful, and you got to weigh this for yourself, right? Because a person can live in a $500,000 or $1 million home, and I think that like that can be fine for somebody, depending on like what they make and who they are and how they view money. And then there will be people that be like, if you live in $1 million home, you're terrible. You should give all your money to the poor. It's like, you don't know how generous that person actually is. And maybe it's that way because they have a nice home and have a lot of grandkids and want to have their grandkids over. And maybe they actually have a fairly like humble home, but they wanted a lot of land or whatever it is. People can make grand judgments about people and what they should and shouldn't do with their money. There are probably some things we can look at and be like, I think we can all agree this is probably a little excess. But ultimately, it could also just mean this idea of trying to still live in a humble way. So maybe I don't drive Maseratis around, but sure, I've got a decent BMW or something like that. You know what I mean? Or somebody could just be like, no, I still like being in a Honda Civic. It just keeps me grounded and I'm happier like this. And this idea for him, I'll just plan to be a bum so I just might become someone. Again, reinforcing this idea of not putting all their hope on riches and on fame and possessions. Man, Tyler's really such a gifted songwriter. This is a special song. Every song is a special song. Anyways, thank you for being with me for this one. Let's have a conversation in the comments. I hope to see you for the next one because we're eating good.